5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The pit stop is vital to every race team's success. Pull off the track, let your team go to work.
Outside, clear.
Change all 4 tires, fill the fuel cell, and make needed adjustments, all in 8 seconds or less.
All right, we're going to have a great first guest on. He's an author. You're going to love what he has to do. He loves Indy. He's an author. But before we go to him, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This segment is brought to you by America's Christian Credit Union, where your money works to build God's kingdom. Whether you're saving for a home, managing a business, planning a future venture, ACCU offers financial situations that align with your faith and values. And for over 65 years, they've been of service to churches, families, and ministries, not just a credit union, but a partner in your calling. To learn more, you can go to their website, which is americaschristiancu.com, and do /PITS so they know where it came from. Again, americaschristiancu.com /PITS is the address. I'm so excited. I found this guest on Substack. I'm not a big Substack guy, but I do watch. I do watch for it and I read it. I'm on Substack, but I've made hardly any. I don't even know if I've made any entries on Substack since I joined 3 or 4 years ago. But that's where I found him from, and I was really excited because he's really an Indy 500 guy. He's an author, independent author, publisher. He's published a number of works, I think 15, we'll ask him for sure. But he's got a lot of work that he's done on the Indianapolis 500. And so we were able to connect, schedule. So without further ado, may I introduce to you author, publisher, photographer. Not yet? Oh, okay. Well, that's he's not here yet. Okay. So J. Lewis Frey is the person we're talking about. He's loved IndyCar racing like I have. I think he fell in love with it the same time I did, 1969. And it's remarkable because we share so many common likes and interests and stories. And again, I just found him on a blog on what is Substack? Is it a blog? Is it I guess probably it's a blog station, you know.
I'd say it's like a community.
Yeah,
community hub.
A community hub. Okay, and I found him on there, and I was amazed at all. He's prolific in terms of his writing and a great researcher. And then we were able to connect, and I invited him to come on, and he accepted. So I think are we ready? Okay. Without further ado, let me introduce to you for the first time here on the Pits Are Open, J. Lewis Frey, affectionately known as Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hello, aloha.
Good
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me on.
Yes, thank you for coming on.
Sure.
I was glad that we had that phone conversation a couple of weeks ago, and I think, did I get it right that you fell in love with IndyCar about the same time I did, 1969? Is that tell us about that story? How did that happen for you?
Yeah, I was listening with my relatives. We were listening to the 1969 Indianapolis 500, and I would walk away and come back, and Mario Andretti kept leading. He was a guy that led it and won it. And that was the first time that I listened to the race on the radio. But before that, I was a Bobby Unser fan. So I must have started maybe somewhere around 1968 because that's the year he won Indy and then won the national championship.
Sure.
So when you're a little kid, you want to go with a winner. So
absolutely, and you can't go wrong with the Unser family, right? I mean, they got 9 wins between all of them. It's pretty amazing. You know, that 69 race, most folks don't know. You probably know that 69 race. If it wasn't for an ill carried out pit stop by Lloyd Ruby, very possible that Mario would not have won that race.
Yes.
Ruby was leading. He had the race in hand, went into the pits, and unbelievably pulled out early while the fuel hose was still connected back then to the side of the car where the tanks were. Literally ripped out that fuel filler neck, and fuel spilled out all over the track, and his day was done.
Yeah,
but Lloyd Ruby might have, the hard charger from Texas might have won that race, but
for sure.
we're glad that Mario did.
Yeah.
So what got you into research and writing and publishing, and why the emphasis on motorsports, and in particular the emphasis on the Indy 500?
Well, I remember as a kid going to the library in my school, and they had a copy of a book called Daredevils of the Speedway by Ross Olney. and I read that and fell in love with the sport and the Indianapolis 500, and the main guy or one of the first guys in the book is about Bill Vukovich, and I just thought this guy's great, and I just wanted to read more and learn more about the race. And to me, we're talking about the National Championship Series. That to me is the epitome of auto racing in the U.S. Yeah. I have no disrespect for NASCAR. I watch it all the time. Drag racing is great. Sure. I mean, those nitro cars are insane. But the National Championship, to me, that's the top of the line, and that involves the Indianapolis 500.
Well, I don't know. You've done a lot more research than I have probably, but I really feel like the 60s and the 70s were the golden era for IndyCar racing. All the great legends came out of that. Well, I mean, in our day, all the great legends came out of there. Mm-hmm. But the racing, the competition, the number of cars that were entered that tried to qualify.
Oh, yeah.
Indy was a whole month-long procedure back then. I think they opened the track on May 2nd. You'd have 2 weeks of practice. You'd have 2 consecutive weekends of qualifying. And, it wasn't uncommon for 60, 70, even 80 cars to try to actually make the field. That was a commonplace thing.
Talk about cutthroat and you just had to be a tough guy. Can you imagine being the 33rd guy and there's a half an hour left for guys to take a shot at you and you're just sitting there and there's nothing you can do but wait? Yep. That's just an incredible feeling. It's the greatest sporting event to me in the world. Yeah. You can argue with that and that's fine. You can have your opinion.
We're not going to argue with that at all because you were right. You're right. It's the greatest sport. It's the greatest single-day sporting event in the world. Nobody gets more attendance. I mean, and the history, the legacy of it. Oh yeah. I mean, I was a little upset with one of the drag racers because they got all bent out of shape because Fox has been calling it the fastest sport in racing. And Bob Tasca, I think. I like Bob Tasca.
He's a super guy.
Bob Tasca was, I can't believe you guys are saying it's the fastest sport. Well, it's the fastest sport. The fastest sport, you want to go straight for 3 seconds. But if you want to drive for 500 miles at 200 plus, IndyCar's it. Exactly. You mentioned Vukovich. 2 real quick things about Vukovich. I just last year bought a biography, the latest biography on Vukovich.
Oh, cool.
And then I stay at a house and have for a number of years that's in Speedway. That's been around for a long, old house, wonderful owner who's just so kind. But it was a house where the Vukovich family stayed.
Oh, cool.
And they have pictures of when apparently USAC officials came to the house to break the news to the family that Vukovich had died.
Yeah.
And there's one spot in the house. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's just one spot in the house where they believe was the room that Vukovich stayed in.
Oh, okay.
And the first time I went there, and the first time I went in that room, I'm not like this normally. I'm not ghost or spooky. I just felt such a weird, atmosphere in the room, thinking that that's where, Vukovich spent many nights during the month of May, the months of May. And that would have been the last place he had slept before he passed. So
okay, yeah, I understand. Him and his wife stayed there, and he would walk to the track. I guess it was that close. You could walk to the track.
It. I mean, turn one. I mean, I couldn't hit it with a driver, but maybe John Daly could. I mean, it's certainly within walking distance. I would say 5 minutes tops.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's an amazing place and amazing story.
You also talked about that greatest generation, and I wrote an ebook about that. It's called The Last Laps of the Legends. I just published it probably 2 months ago or something like that. And it's about what I call Indianapolis 500's greatest generation because of Foyt and Unser and Mears and all these guys. Here's a little trivia for you. Do you know that there was only 1 year when all 3 of the 4-time race winners competed as 4-time race winners? And that was in 1992.
Oh, I was going to say 94. I'm glad
Rick Mears won it in 91 for the 4th time.
Right.
So they ran all together in 1992. And then after the end of 92, then Mears retired.
Right.
And then in May of 93, Foyt retired. Right. So, and then Al Unser stayed another year or 2, and then he retired. So it all kind of came to an end there in the early 90s. But that was the only time all of the 4-time race winners competed together as 4-time race winners. You're welcome.
I don't want to sound like a wallflower. I mean, I don't want to sound old and bitter, but I just feel like the drivers then were just a different breed. They're a different breed, maybe a different character. I feel like now there's probably a lot more pampering going on than I would have cared for. I can't see some of the stuff going on now with AJ Foyt or Bobby Allens or Mario Andretti. I feel like they had a better, had a better footing, had their feet on the ground more. They weren't stars. They were. I mean,
Sure.
they were, but they weren't. Media opportunities.
Right.
And I really, in my heart, I guess I prefer those days over today's days, I guess.
Yeah. And that was kind of our father's generation. And those men were born and grew up in the Great Depression or the years right after that.
Mm-hmm.
That makes you a tough guy. Especially when you read about the Unsers, they did not have a pampered life,
Not at all.
And it was a tough way to make a living.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm curious now. Has been 15 publications that you've done?
Yes, 15 about the Indianapolis 500. I've written a couple about NASCAR.
Yeah.
2 about World War II and 1 on politics.
Wow. I want to read this one here. You've got Indy Reignite that you wrote in 2023. Talk about that one.
Yes. Okay. That was really about the 1946 Indianapolis 500, the first race after World War II. And all these cars are sitting in mothballs all those years. You didn't get a chance to race them. I think the last real racing took place in 1942 in the U.S. After that, it was banned because they needed the fuel, they needed the rubber for airplane tires, and so there was no racing going on. And so these cars the drivers sat in some cases, but most of them were involved in the war effort. They were either fighting or, like Bill Vukovich, he had injuries, and so he was not accepted as combat ready, I guess, the way I understand the story. But he was a mechanic. He was in the Army as a mechanic, but numerous other men, same way, fighting. And I have some great World War II stories even of Indianapolis 500 drivers. But I mean, we can get into that whenever, but it was.
Give us one, if you give us one.
I will gladly give you one, and this is a strange one. The man's name is Bud Bardowski.
Yeah.
He never drove in the 500, but he was from Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
He was in the tank corps before the war, and he was sent right around Thanksgiving of 1941. His unit was sent to the Philippines because they thought the Japanese might attack there, the Imperial Japanese.
Sure.
They did on December the 8th, and Bardowski is credited as the first tank division person, the first armored division man to ever shoot down an enemy plane. He did that on December the 8th, but there's more. The Japanese then invaded the Philippines and pushed us back to the Bataan Peninsula.
Yep.
Okay. He's fighting the entire time with the tank corps. We surrendered. The men surrender there in Bataan, but Bardowski takes his tank and drives down the coast and gets on a barge that's headed to an island called Corregidor. Okay. He makes it there, but he forgot to disable his tank. When the Japanese invade Corregidor, the first tank off the barge was his tank. He said it was the worst mistake he ever made.
Wow.
He was eventually captured. He was sent on a hell ship to Japan, where he was a slave laborer in a coal mine. To make a long story even longer, he gets liberated in September of 45, goes back to the States, and is released, discharged from the Army on April the 12th, 1946. He takes his back pay. He was a prisoner of war for over 3 years. He takes that back pay, and what else would you do if you're from Indiana? He buys an Indianapolis car to take it to the Indianapolis 500. On his way there, he lives in Gary, Indiana.
Yeah.
He eloped with his girlfriend. That adds another layer of stress to your life. And he goes to the 500. He had never driven at Indianapolis before. When he would practice, the fans would stand and cheer for him because they knew he was a prisoner of war for three and a half years. Can you imagine that? He passed his rookie test, but he didn't feel like he was fast enough to qualify. So he turned the car over to Buddy Rush, another rookie, and Buddy qualified the car, but then got bumped out. And so Bud never actually ran in the 500, but he was a Bataan Corregidor Death March survivor. And I think that's a great story.
That's an amazing story. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
And Eddie Rickenbacker
yeah,
is probably the greatest man that's ever competed in the 500. And I mean, that's another story for another day too. But I mean, he's just, a great man that ended up owning the track after racing as a driver, owned the track, and then bought Eastern Airlines. He survived a plane crash. And then during World War II, he was stranded in a lifeboat with other men for 24 days.
I didn't know that.
He was on a special mission from Henry Stimson, who was the Secretary of Defense, I guess, or the War Department.
Yep.
He gave Rickenbacker a special message, a top secret message to give to General Douglas MacArthur. And that's what he was doing. He was on a plane. The plane got off course, crash landed, and they were in a lifeboat for 24 days. They ran out of food after 3 days. A seagull landed on Eddie's head. They caught the bird, defeathered it, and then ate the rest of it. That would not be a very tasty meal.
No, not at all. Not at all.
After 20-some days, the Army and Navy went back to Mrs. Rickenbacker and said, listen, we've searched and we can't find him. She said, would you please search another 7 days for my husband? They said, okay. On the 7th day, they found him. Him and the other men. Rickenbacker lost 54 pounds, but he got that message to General MacArthur. And for that, so he won a Medal of Honor in World War I as America's Ace of Aces.
Yes.
And then he won the Medal of Merit, which is the highest civilian award that the U.S. honors.
Yeah.
So he's got two of the biggest awards a U.S. citizen can have, and he's all connected to the Indy 500.
Well, how long did he own the track in the group that he was in? Do you know?
A group of investors, of which he was a part of, I think, bought the track in 1927 from the founding members, and then he owned it from 27 to 45, and then sold it to the Tony Holman.
Holman family, yeah. Well, and by the time Holman got it, I mean, the track was in horrible disrepair, wasn't it? From not being used.
Yes.
I mean, trees, weeds growing through the track surface, and so really, Tony Holman really saved the track, I guess, right?
He did, right? He was known as what was he called? 2-Ton Tony, because he was a sport fisherman, and he helped the U.S. beat Brazil in some international fishing competition. But anyways, yeah, Holman grew up in Indianapolis area. He's from Terre Haute, and He bought the
I've got
track.
a good friend who was his personal assistant for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Until his death. And he's got some great stories to tell.
I'm
about
sure.
And I love the Holman family. Hey, we've got probably time for one more book review, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
First of all, how do we get a hold of these publications? Like if you've got, Forgotten Stories from Indianapolis, Indy Reignite,
yes.
The Indianapolis 500 Atlantic Ocean. How do people
That's one of my favorite ones right there.
How do people find your writings and get a hold of them?
It's on Amazon. I think it's on Apple. So you can just go in there and look up J. Lewis Frey, or even anything with Indianapolis. Well, I don't know if Indianapolis 500 might be too broad of a term, but my name is J. Lewis Frey, Louis, and then the last name is Frey. And I've got some stories there.
So I've got one more I'd like to cover. You're going to have to come back, please, because there's so much. I thought we'd cover more. There's so much more.
I would love to. I've got about 20 other notes here that I'd love to talk about.
All right, we're going to have you back then. This one is interesting also. First Ladies of Auto Racing.
Yes.
Now, is that across all motorsports, not just the 500, right?
Yes, that's all across all the motorsports. Some of the ladies, it's interesting. We think about cars as being gasoline powered, but they also had electric cars and they had steam cars. And so like if you were a female, you were not allowed to operate a vehicle. You had to take a test for a steam engine vehicle. And so some of the ladies have, but I'll draw it back to this point. And that is, do you know who the first woman to drive a racing car on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Do you know who that was?
First woman ever.
It happened in 1963. It has to do with Andy Granatelli. It's a little trivia.
I was going to say, it can't be, obviously it's not Janet Guthrie, but
No.
You'll have to help me out, Jim. I don't know.
Okay. How about Paula Murphy?
Yeah.
Who was known as Miss STP.
Yes.
Set a number of speed records.
Yes.
Granatelli owned the Novi cars,
Right,
and he allowed her because she knows how to drive a car. She can wheel. She was given the opportunity by Granatelli to drive a Novi out on the track, and she drove out there.
Wow.
That she became the first woman to ever drive in the 500. But women have always been a part of the 500. Sure. It just hasn't always been fair.
Sure.
So.
Oh my gosh, I whenever I hear Granatelli's name, I almost well up because I'm such a Granatelli fan. The greatest marketer in the history of motorsports. I've often told people, when I grow up, I want to have the marketing skills of Andy Granatelli and the business acumen of Roger Penske.
There you go. You cannot lose.
Quite a person.
You cannot lose with that.
Hey, listen, it is so much fun having you on, and I want to have you on again, please. There's so much we can talk about.
I love to talk about chewing gum, winning the race, a janitor that won a race,
a janitor,
the Kentucky Derby. Yeah.
Wow. All right. Give us the chewing gum. Now you've whet my appetite. Give us the chewing gum story. Come on.
1932, Fred Frame, who's from New Hampshire, is in the race and his car overheats. They come in, nothing seems to work. They take the radiator cap off and remove the gasket, put the cap back on. That doesn't work. They take the cap off, stuff rags into it. That doesn't work. His riding mechanic is a guy named Jerry Houck. He has a pack of chewing gum there that Fred Frame, the driver, uses to keep his mouth moist because it's an open cockpit. You're going 100 miles an hour. Your throat's going to dry out.
Sure.
He chews the gum and forms it into a gasket. They put it on the radiator cap, seal it back on, and it works. And Fred Frame drives to victory because of chewing gum.
Wow. What
True
a great
story.
Well, that's a great story to end on. I'm so thankful. Jim, thank you so much. J. Lewis Fry. All these books are available on Amazon. It is written. I can't wait to grab a couple myself because they really look like good, right? Thank you.
If you don't mind, I do have a free newsletter about the Indy 500.
Absolutely, please. Yes.
It's called Indy 500 Examiner.
Okay.
And it's free. I publish every Thursday, so I'm getting ready for my next publication. I would love to have you sign up and we can talk about things. Indy 500 Examiner.
One more time, Indy 500 Examiner.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Right. Terrific. Thank you so much for being a guest. We're going to be back on soon. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're gonna want to run a quick promo for our friends at Speed Sport. Something new and exciting that's going on, I believe, is what this promo is about. And then we're gonna have legendary race announcer, expert, aficionado Kurt Hansen will be our next guest. So let's take a quick moment for Speed Sport. We'll be right back.
Live this weekend on Speed Sport 1, the IHRA Outlaw Nitro Series will be back in action, this time at Tirana Dragway, where legends are made and speed knows no limits. On Friday, we'll have coverage of the Pro Mod and Top Fuel qualifying. On Saturday, catch the Top Fuel finals. And remember, on Thursdays at 8 p.m., we'll have highlights from the weekend. Speed Sport 1 is your new home for IHRA. Go to speedsport1.com for details and viewing options.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity for Speed Sport. They're the official broadcasters of the IHRA. And Megan Meyer, who we've had on the show several times, she races top alcohol fuel dragster, and she's racing in IHRA. So a lot of folks that we know are out there. Our next guest, I'm so excited. I've not known him that long. I'm trying to think of how we met. I'm drawing a blank, but he's been around for a while, and man, I'll tell you, he's done it all. He's driven. He graduated from the Jim Russell Racing School. I was a Skip Barber person, but he's Jim Russell, which is a great school. And he's driven. He's been on ESPN, NBC. He's got quite a lineup, and still out there on radio, broadcasting regularly. And I'll let him talk about it. He and I might end up working together a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Our good friend from Denver, Kurt Hansen. Hey, Kurt.
Wow, I like the fancy new set. Holy cow, what's going on back there?
Well, you know, we're going to be moving into another realm, and we have to class up the show a little bit.
Gotta tighten it up. Your picture looks great. I look like I'm sitting in a fog bank, but that's okay.
Well, it's all camera and lighting. It's all magic. You know, I'm sure I look way worse than you do in person. But.
Well, you're so handsome. It doesn't matter.
How have you been, buddy?
I have been great. And besides the radio show on ESPN, yes, I've done TV for all the outlets that you talked about, but we also have a very popular TV show called Race Central TV, which between the radio and the TV show, we are the longest consistently running motorsports show probably in North America, certainly in the US of A. Yeah, 25 years, so we're kind of new at it.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Gosh, I didn't realize it was that long. Now, you were on a few months ago. Refresh the folks who are maybe watching for the first time or didn't see the first time. Tell us a little bit about your background post driving career. How did you get into broadcasting? It's
well, post driving or from the beginning, because I'm 67 years old. That might take more time than we've got. Okay, but I'd always been a gearhead. I grew up as a gearhead. My dad was a gearhead. When I was on the U.S. ski team, traveling around the world and stuff, I was always reading like Auto Sprint and Auto Sport. And when I come home, I'd be knee deep in, whatever publication was out there. And it's just always been a passion. And when I left the team, that passion led me into the automobile business, which I had two dealerships. We had two car stores, an Alfa and a Lotus, and then a Ducati motorcycle store.
Wow.
And as time kept morphing on, and at that time I was 22, 23 years old, I decided I'm going to do this. I met through an acquaintance, a wonderful young man named Kenny Atchison, who did some Formula One with Ram, did Formula 3. I think he was runner-up the championship in 1 year. Then went to Japan and did the Japanese touring car series. And Kenny, kind of helped me and pushed me and prodded me. And actually, my very first driver's suit was the driver's suit that he wore in Formula One when he raced for Ram. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I decided I'm going to go to the Jim Russell School. And I show up at the Jim Russell School with a shiny new helmet and this driving suit. And one of our instructors, Rob Swarthout, said Kenny Atchison, like A+ on, ready mix concrete. Yeah. And Rob said, "Where did you steal that suit from?" And I went on to be great friends. And I said, a friend of mine who helped me get kind of into all this gave me this suit. And he goes, "So you know Kenny?" I said, "I know him very well. He lived in my house for a while." Wow. And then I worked with a guy. We got him a couple IndyCar rides. And it just kind of all started coming together, and went to the Russell School and hung out with Johnny O'Connell, Jeff Krosnoff, bless his soul, who just the anniversary of his
passing in Toronto.
A guy named Rick Swartz. He's sponsored by Brick House. I called him Rick the Brick, and we stay in touch quite a bit. Tommy Kendall, Dave Kudrave. I can go on and on and on. And I did pretty well in the series for a guy that had basically no skills before that. These guys had come from a background of been racing forever. And that kind of went on. And then I got into the Russell series, what we call the school series. We raced at Riverside and Laguna Seca, and which is ironic because Laguna Seca and Sears Point, I'm always going to call it Sears Point, are two of my home tracks. And one thing led to another, and I got back in the car business, and that went very well. And I bought a Formula Atlantic car, a Ralt RT4 that had actually been an ex-Derek Warwick Formula 2 car with a 2-liter BDA in it. And I did pretty good in that. And then I bought a Swift, and then, I left out 1 year of a couple races in Formula 3. There was racing shows on, and I went, their shows aren't very good. And on KMBR in San Francisco, which is a 50,000 watt blowtorch station, met the program director, and they had a racing show, and it was pretty bad. And Lee Hammer said, "Can you do better?" I said, with my eyes tied behind my back. And that's how it started. And Jack Arute happened to be using one of the studios one weekend to do a show for ESPN the network. He walked in the studio, went off the air. He said, "Is that you?" Then all of a sudden I'm doing Saturday night ESPN network radio with the V Show, Bob Valvano show, and Jack. And it's from, just a lot of people feeling badly for me that have pushed me this far.
It's funny. I bumped into Jack at the museum just before the closing for the renovation, and Jack's a Connecticut guy, so we've always gotten along. It was always great to see him. It's a transition to go into broadcasting. I mean, I did it for 13 years on a 50,000 watt flamethrower channel. It's a bit of a transition, no matter what else you're doing, because radio particularly is so much different. And I love radio. I enjoyed it. How did you find that going into radio from coming out of a racing background or a car dealership background? How was the transition for you, Kurt?
Well, since I'd always been a student of the sport, I knew a lot about it, and I made a lot of relationships as I was, moving forward. Not really planned that I would do this. And one day I woke up and went, actually, the linchpin. Great question. I'm on a flight. I used to work for the Raiders, their broadcast team, doing some stuff. And we're on a flight to Pittsburgh to play the Steelers. I met Lee Hammer, the program director. He said, hey, the show is called Starts Your Engines. And he says, our host will be out of town next week. Can you do the show? Well, actually 2 weeks. The next weekend, Dale Earnhardt Sr. was killed. And he said, wow, can you really dig and get? I said, I can get a lot of information. He said, can you 2 hours by yourself? I said, absolutely. I was so nervous. I swear to God, man, we're like, and ironically, my board op, a guy named Sam Batesh, a great guy who's now a Fox Sports guy, and I did some stuff with Fox with Sam and Pat O'Brien and everything. It just kind of came naturally to me because I've always been a talker, obviously, and I grew up around the sport. So it was kind of a confluence.
Yeah.
Like the two rivers that meet at Three Rivers Stadium, ironically.
Yeah. I was thinking of the Tigris and Euphrates, but different part of the world.
Well, it just kind of happened. And then I saw some other programming and I said, wow, if those guys can do this, because I have a deep background and I've done it, I can do that easily. And I think the deep background and having the experience of having done it, like if I'm talking about, driver going into turn 3 at Laguna. Well, I've done it at Mach speed. They're talking dirt track. If I ran midgets and sprint cars, I've done it. So I can lend a side of a basis of knowledge of having done it. Because I mean, when I wore this just for you today.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, when I was a Champ Car announcer, I got all this clothes, and I thought, well, since we're going to talk IndyCar, I figure I wear my Champ Car jersey, right?
Good.
So,
thank you.
People say, how do you know so much? Like, how did you know that was going to happen before it happened? And it's just, I guess, an intuition, a female's intuition. I do live in Denver, so, we can go a long ways with that.
We won't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's okay. This is a family show. So it just and I became very good friends with all the drivers in IndyCar because I would talk to them or interview or be calling them and like, man, you know this stuff. And you've known it for a long time. And then since you've done it, when, 3 of the top sprint car drivers in the world or in the country are steaming off into turn 3 at Eldora, and they're moving around, I can say, well, he's trying to do this, but that's not going to work. And 2 seconds later, it happens. And the same is true. I was a NASCAR announcer at a local NASCAR track. So it kind of all
came together.
It's kind of like a big, I don't know, like one of those big Jell-O Christmas cakes. It's got all the flavors in it that nobody eats. What are those things called?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, so I just, and a lot of luck. I've had, a lot of people say, and I've been doing this for 25 years now. People say, you got lucky. And yeah, in a lot of ways, but if you push hard enough and you push on the right doors and you push gently enough and massage the situation enough, those doors will open. Yeah. Because once you're given the opportunity to prove what you know, people go, hey, this guy, when I was doing media for Furniture Row, my bio's on my website, racecentral.live, by the way, racecentral.live. That's a shameless plug. Yeah. And all the crew guys, because Furniture Row is based here in Denver, and I was there from day one to last ever. We put the car in the hauler to go to Homestead. And the crew guys were like, well, I don't know if you get weird about this. We haven't been creeping, but we looked up your bio and they did some, you've really done this stuff. And you know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah. And all of a sudden it gave me this credibility with the team guys.
Right.
And Kurt Busch and I became great friends. We used to do a lot of the TV stuff for Race Central TV. And we called it the Kurt and Kurt Show. Wow. And he liked talking to me because I knew what I was talking about. Wow. And I'm sticking to that story.
It's impressive.
I just made it up.
It's an impressive story, but I mean, you've got a lot of experience and you know how to apply it, which is wonderful. I mean, it's hard sometimes to go and make the crossover like an athlete. Not all great athletes are good announcers. And so sometimes it's hard to make that crossover. That's why I say sometimes teachers are the best ones to go into like an announcing way because they're already used to explaining, teaching, demonstrating, nurturing, where sometimes a pro athlete, they may know the sport so well. Same thing with coaches. Some of the best coaches in baseball have never played baseball professionally.
Here's the balancing point. You can't be trying to impress people with your knowledge all the time because then it comes across as speaking
right,
down.
Smartest kid in the room syndrome.
So
yes, right.
You have to have the it, and everybody asks, how do you know what it is and what isn't? Nobody can really tell. But early on they said, Kurt, you have it.
Right.
So you're entertaining. It's all got to be about entertainment because there's been a lot of great broadcasters that bored the snot out of people.
Yeah.
So you have to know what you're talking about, and then infuse those little injections quickly onto. He's go to the top side. That's not going to work. Blah blah. And then it happens. People go, how'd you know that? But if you just sit there and pontificate all the time, listen to me. I am the voice of
all
the big
reason.
Guy. Yes, I know everything about. People are going to go, you're a jackass, and we don't like you. And there's people that don't like me because I'm definitely I'm on the edge. I'm a little edgy, and the majority.
They have medication for that,
What's that?
They have medication for that.
I know, and I have my Adderall pills and my memory pills, and I'm so crazy I forgot where I put them.
No, but the point you make is wonderful because I think one of the reasons that right, let's just talk IndyCar for a second. I think James Hinchcliffe made a wonderful transition from driver to the booth. I love hearing him. I can listen to him all day. But the other one who's now coming on, and I think is going to be a great one, is Jack Harvey. Jack Harvey, same thing, driver. Now he's learning, and he's making mistakes. He's making a lot of rookie mistakes, but I think he's going to be a great analyst as time goes on.
I do. I like I love his accent, obviously. That UK accent is very bougie. There's a word.
But it's true. Isn't it funny? As soon as they start talking, they sound like they're the smartest people in the room, though, because they're speaking the Queen's English.
Me?
No. Well, yeah, you and Jack Harvey. Yeah.
Well, and Jack has kind of toned it down. And I've known Townsend forever. Townsend asked me to be his agent.
Really?
Way back in the days,
Wow.
yeah. When he was running, we were both Skip Barber teachers, and we got to get great friends. And he went on and did that Indy Lights, as they were known back then, and won the championship with DirecTV as a sponsor. Then, went on to greatness. And Townsend's a great guy, know him very well, and was devastated to hear about his family and the fires in Los Angeles.
So, oh my gosh!
But T-Bell and Hinch are a great fit. I had Will Buxton on my show during the pandemic, and I had a very strict set of rules because he just released his book, My Greatest Defeat, which is a great read if you haven't read it. Okay. And I like Will a lot. I think Netflix harvested and compartmentalized his brilliance in snippets that were fantastic. I like him, but I think he sometimes gets a little too effervescent. I saw some stuff after the last IndyCar race. Like, not the last one in Toronto, but the week before that. I didn't know that Joseph Newgarden's dad was the NBC announcer or Fox announcer or whatever, because he's just a lot of massaging in there, a lot of love. I think and tone it down a little bit. It's like, that move is unbelievable, and it's he is
Is a little at the top, but I think he's trying to, maybe subconsciously, I think he's trying to earn his spot because, we had for years on NBC, we had Townsend and Hinchcliffe. They work together well.
NBG.
They're left and right glove. And here's Will coming in as an unknown to the United States, largely. And I think maybe sometimes he tries a little too hard.
Well, I've been in those situations too. And again, you have to really know where that rheostat lives. But I think he's doing a very good job. I like him.
I do too.
It's especially with a three-headed monster. It's like having three all-star wide receivers on the same team and only one ball.
Right.
What do you do with it? So sometimes I think he steps on people and could maybe just dial it back a little bit.
Yep.
And don't make the simple pass for 32nd place because the guys on the push to pass sound like.
Like just passed for the Indy 500 win on the fourth corner.
Yeah, the London Bridge is falling down.
Sure, no, I get it. I mean, I don't know I don't know about you, but I'm very comfortable because I did it for years. I did co-hosting and radio for a long time. About half of my 13 years, about half of that time, I was with someone working as a partner with someone. So I'm very comfortable. I don't know. I think three would be hard for me. I like when's your turn? I don't know if I would operate well in three in a trio, but I'm very comfortable in a pair, in a duo.
Broadcast media is just a controlled train crash. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've done a lot of network stuff, and it's hours and hours and hours of waiting for somebody, and all of a sudden go. And you have to be able to flip that switch. And and people have asked me many times, how do you flip that switch? When to flip it, and then when to modulate your voice, create, the pregnant pause, because when you do that, it metaphorically people and I didn't go to school for this stuff. I didn't
either. I never went to a class on broadcasting, and I was. You
should try podcasting.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I thought maybe I'd stick my toe in the water just to see how it went. Hey, listen, let's talk about this for a minute, because you know a lot about a lot of sports. I'm fairly myopic in the sense that IndyCar's my jam. I like NASCAR. I know NASCAR. I certainly love Trans Am. I'm a Trans Am fanatic.
We have a Trans Am guest every week, and Connor Zilich is tentatively on the show. Last Friday, we had Catherine Legg, my good friend.
Catherine on a couple months ago.
About all the noise. Bob Baker, head of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum, and Melissa Eckhoff, who I've known forever, who's the president of the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. So, it's every Friday from 3 to 5. We call it The Drive on ESPN Radio here in Denver, AM 1600, or as we call streaming around the country and around the globe at racecentral.live. Just click on the ESPN link. Anyway, shameless plug away.
That's okay. No, I appreciate it. How would you – you're the doctor. IndyCar's the patient.
It's so funny you said that. I've had many people tell me I'm Dr. Jerry Punch on crack. True story. And I can't name the individual because he's a very famous person in the IndyCar world, and I'd get in trouble if I said his name.
All right. Well, we love Jerry Punch. How would you diagnose? Give us your state of the condition of IndyCar right now.
You want it from somebody who does have a media and sales degree and also a business degree, or do you want it from the fan, or do you want it? I mean, I got a lot of opinions.
It's a combination of all. I mean, I can't take the fan out of me, so I'm still a fan, even though I get involved at different levels. But I think some people are afraid to give their candid diagnosis.
Hence, announcers that work for a series that it's like the home team radio station ripping David Judge. I mean, it's a very fine line.
It's a fine line.
And if you just sound like a homer, people just turn you out.
No.
That's a very good point.
So fan, expert, racer, longtime broadcaster, familiar with all kinds of motorsports. How do you think IndyCar's doing right now? And what do they need to do?
Man, it's like asking me how long a piece of string or is a piece of string. And I'm that way too. And I raced in Long Beach in 91. I raced Champ Car Atlantics for 3 years. I do the grid walk for the race, and I still get goosebumpy. So I'm still that little kid even at my age. But they've got some. Well, first of all, it didn't start off well. Under the category, maybe we should have rethought that with the whole push to pass thing in St. Pete. That was not a good look. Then we got the Indy 500 thing with the attenuator. This has been a very strange year for IndyCar because they've had peaks and valleys like any race series, but I think
strange year for Penske.
I'm sorry.
Strange year for Penske to be at the heart of a lot of the stuff that hasn't gone well.
I'm glad you said that. Send your emails to will@nobodynowhere.com. And then there's been some rules.
Wait, when I start my car now in the parking lot, I'm going to have to be careful.
I would probably walk home. Yeah, I know your town, right? I've been to your town. Walk over to Louis' Lunch. It's about 40, 50 miles. Or as Santino would say, I asked him at Long Beach this year, is Pepe's or Sally's? He goes, oh, no, Pepe's. Oh, well. So there's been a lot of things that I think have made the viewer and the fan go, And here's a perfect example. God, I don't want to get in trouble. This is your deal, and there's probably a lot of important people watching. I think there's been some inconsistency, which I think makes people go, I hate that phrase, but there you go. It's even made some teams go, how come that guy? It's like getting caught for speeding and 85 cars go by you at 100 miles an hour. I caught you. I think consistency is an issue. I think the broadcast thing still, this is my industry. There's still a lot of people that have a lot of consternation with the broadcast team and with the broadcast in general. Right. I'm not going to comment on that. Could they use an old guy like me and perk it up because I'm a little crazy? Absolutely. Selfless play again. But that needs to get sorted out. There's just a lot of moving parts, like anything. But I think the inconsistency is something. I think and I get it. It's a 17 race schedule. They need bigger car counts. But I think, frankly, and I'm just going to throw it out there. Look at Joseph Newgarden's face last week in Toronto after the whole Jacob Abel thing.
Yeah. Oh, that look was, if looks could kill, Joseph would have knocked about 10 people down.
There's a lot of people with those looks in the paddock. I've seen them myself, and I think it's a problem.
Yeah, I do.
But you can't tell people to go home, or you can't race a street course. But I think and I'm not singling any one person out, but I think there's some problems with that. Maybe race control needs to be stricter with the flag, stricter with the calls, stricter with the black flag. Whatever. But we need to race, not finish races under caution.
What do you think about this independent? Since the attenuator snafu, which on face value is, I promise you that little bit of massaging of the seams for the attenuator, I can't imagine that's a true performance pickup. It was probably an aesthetic thing. Roger Bike said, I don't like the way it looks. Fill that gap in. Never thought about it. Probably never did anything. I could be wrong. I'm not an engineer. I don't know. But it just seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot with just things that shouldn't need to happen. The perfect example is when some of the guys in Cup started having the windshield, at an angle. Well, in the wind tunnel, they found that creates all kinds of better things aerodynamically. I agree. I got a Swift DB4 sitting downstairs. I'm going to be racing in a month. I still do a lot of racing. Wow. Does it look better? Yes, but you don't do things like that, especially the second time, so that you can get caught, because it doesn't do anything. So what it does, we don't know, and we'll never find out, because is one of the Penske guys going to come out and go, oh, yeah, man, we found that it creates an extra 14 pounds of downforce on the left side of the car. No, not going to happen. No, never going to come. It's like the Kennedy assassination.
It's like we're elephants go to die. We don't know.
Yeah.
I was going to use another phrase, but it kind of had a church reference in it, so I figured I'd say it.
I saw that coming.
With me,
But
you got to have the.
Do you think though, Kurt? I mean, listen, I live and breathe IndyCar. I've loved it since I was a little kid. I've been going there since '82. I mean, I just love it. I still get goosebumps when I walk on the property. I can feel my heart rate going up.
Yeah, me too.
I cry during back home again in Indiana. I mean, I'm such a fan, but at the same time, I love it so much. I get so frustrated with the nonsense. Why do we have 3,000 people in Iowa? And then I hear the promotion was absolutely abysmal, done by who? Penske Entertainment. I don't know how you can defend those things.
Well, so here's, and I know this because of people that are deeply embedded in the sport that I talk to on almost, very frequently during the week. I loved what they did in Iowa. Hy-Vee is a huge company that get it. At the Knoxville Nationals a couple years ago, they were a huge sponsor. And what did they have? They had 18 leaders going up and down the street. Like if one went by that way, 2 minutes later, another one went by, all lit up. I mean, talk about branding. And I love the concert. The reality is the fan, no matter what sport it is, given the perfect example, NASCAR going to San Diego, brilliant. I moved here from San Diego. Where they're going to have it, and they've already released a video. I was talking with someone today. I said, what a great opportunity to cross it over with Americana. The Air Force, the Marines are there.
Yes,
they released a video. I put it on my Facebook page earlier doing exactly that. There is so much in San Diego that it's a destination. Iowa's not, I mean, I love Iowans. I love the Knoxville Nationals, but Eaton is not exactly a garden spot of America.
If you build it, they will come.
Right. Well, they did. If you build it, they won't. But I think that the idea was great in concept because you need to make things an event so that people that are not the P1s, but the 2s, 3s, 4s will come because it's a party. Look at Long Beach. I mean, the roar at the shore, the party at the shore, whatever you want to freaking call it. I call it the Long Beach, the Monte Carlo American Open Wheel Racing. You got to make it a thing because the days of just building a racetrack in the middle of nowhere and having people go and sit at a racetrack trust me, you know how hot and humid it is there. I mean, I remember Ryan Hunter-Ray won a couple of years ago when they had a Sunday day race. They had to help him out of the car, and he was like, no more day races, go to night races. And they did. But
I think there's a lot to be said for prime time. And look what happened with WeatherTech. They put WeatherTech St. Louis on prime time, and I think drove over 1 million people, 1 million viewers. So I think there's a lot to be said for that. I can't believe it. We're out of time.
What?
I know.
You dragged me out of bed to do this silly podcast. And
I know.
It's like being the last guest. Hey, by the way, did you see Catherine Legg on the Today Show? Not Today Show.
I didn't, but I heard she did a great job.
Oh.
I heard she killed it. Yeah.
And she hit the flex. Oh.
Yeah.
I mean,
she's in great shape. She works hard. I know she does.
She is killing it.
Well, listen, we'll have you back, and
we
maybe
didn't talk about our project. You want to talk about that?
Well, if you want to talk about it, it's your project.
Is it okay with you?
It's fine with me.
You're the boss.
Yeah.
Well, so
what do you got in mind?
You don't want to know.
Yeah. That you can talk about. Okay.
So besides the TV show, which check your local listings for show times and networks in your market, because Stevie Wonder can see us. We're everywhere. Check out the website, racecentral.live. Our podcasts are there. The radio shows are streaming live. TV shows are there. Everything's there. racecentral.live. Carve that into your wrist right now. I had a video cast that was doing very, very, very well. And my lovely producer, Sydney Cora at ESPN, which is where my radio show is, The Drive, 3 to 5, Denver time. And Sydney went off and got pregnant, which hallelujah. She's loving the mother thing. I talk to her all the time. But I've been looking for the right person because she was perfect, beautiful, talented. People I knew were like, whoa, that's a great fit. And then I met you. And I think how we met, I think it was on LinkedIn. crazy enough that it might have been.
I think now you say it, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I steered Judy Stropus to you to get some guys and just stuff. And so
Judy's
I did a
wonderful.
show, and we started talking. Another great Connecticut person. We started talking, and so we are going to relaunch Race Central Unplugged, which with my co-host, that guy, Will Mariotti, and we're going to talk all different forms of racing. So he's got to get his cap on.
Yeah.
And we'll be streaming on all Jay's platforms. It'll be on YouTube. It's going to be everywhere. And what is our date? Like first week in August or something?
Yeah,
like
I think
that?
we're looking around August 12th, something like that.
I think that is the date. So I'm excited because I love doing this, and our banter interaction, I think, is
Works
very
well.
entertaining, and you have to be entertaining.
Yes. Well, I can't wait because I've got so much to learn from you. I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going to learn a ton. It's going to help. It's going to help me on our show, cross pollination with Race Central and Pittsburgh Open. I think it's going to be great for everybody. It's a win-win-win. So I'm looking forward to it.
And little teaser coming shortly, a big time announcement for Race Central. I can't talk about it right now because contracts and stuff are being done, but you'll be part of it.
Okay.
I didn't tell you about it, did I?
No, I
Well,
think
good.
I'm still in the dark.
'Cause
which is usual.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified it'll come out of your mouth. But it's not an unreal tease. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I can't wait. August 12th,
Good.
RaceCentral.live.
Good. Can't
Tune in
wait.
Friday. Connor Zillitz on the show.
Good. I love Connor. What a great talent. Oh my gosh, he's wonderful.
Well, and then Corey Day. I watched his dad, Ronnie Day, run sprint cars in Northern California forever.
Wow.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm as old as a dirt they race on. I think I've been reincarnated. And if you got any juice with the big guy,
Yeah.
I'm not going to. It's kind of a sad
Okay.
story.
That's okay.
Anyway, I'm excited.
Hey, Kurt Hansen, I can't wait.
We
Work
definitely will be.
together,
Will
more
be exciting.
stories. It'll be fun. It'll be fun. Thank you so much, and God bless you. Keep
God bless
talking.
you.
Keep driving. Keep doing all the things you're doing. You're right on the right track. Okay.
I appreciate you.
Kurt Hansen, everybody. Thank you.
See you, folks. Race.
All right, brother. See you later. All right, that's it. We're done. Good show, huh? Good show. We're gonna keep pouring these out. We're gonna do it often. Hey, listen. Again, thank you, America's Christian Credit Union. Thank you, Speed Sport. Thank you, Redline Ace. And next week, yet a new sponsor announcement coming out. It's going to be great. Please tell your friends, your relatives, associate neighbors. Check us out. Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, on all those places, either under the Pittsburgh Open podcast or Maserati Autosport. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you. We love you. See you next week.